Intamin is a company that's known for their record-breaking coasters. They are a company that takes a lot of chances and are known for their willingness to practically try anything. They have the record for the tallest and fastest roller coaster, as well as the first coaster over 300 feet. They also have an incredibly successful company, with them having one of the largest portfolios of any other amusement ride manufacturer. On top of this, their rides are usually very unique. Until now. A few days ago, Intamin unveiled some brand new coaster concepts. These coasters look absolutely amazing, and they are over the top, awesome looking rides that are sure to provide an amazing ride experience. But when looking at them, you can't deny the fact that they have an incredible resemblance to other coasters from different companies. For example, the Intamin Ultra Splash looks suspiciously similar to Mac's Power Splash model, and it's not even just inspiration, it looks like they legitimately copied Mac's Power Splash. And on top of this, they also debuted their Hot Racer, which is obviously a take on the RMC Raptor. So this brings up a lot of questions, but the most important questions are why? Why is Intamin doing this? What exactly is their strategy, and will these new models actually be a success? So join me as I discuss all those questions and so much more as I explore in depth Intamin's new models, as well as what their new strategy could possibly be. But like always, if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. I post brand new videos every week, and I really appreciate all of the amazing support that this channel has been getting. But now let's get to the video. So if you're watching this video, there's a huge chance that you already know about Intamin's new models. But in case you missed it, I'm going to go over it very briefly. First, they announced their version of the Mac Power Splash called the Intamin Ultra Splash. There isn't much to this is basically an exact copy of Mac's ride. It literally looks like an exact copy rather than inspiration, so I don't think Mac is very happy about this or about another company stealing their model. The only difference would be that the Ultra Splash is on Intamin's version of a single rail track, and that brings us to the next major announcement. Intamin finally announced their version of the RMC Raptor. They announced the Intamin Hot Racer. This is basically the world's first launch dueling single rail coaster, and in my opinion, this one isn't as bad as the Ultra Splash. While they obviously took inspiration from RMC, it isn't a direct copy because the layouts are completely different. So in my opinion, I think we can give this one a little grace. In fact, RMC wasn't even the first to create the single rail, so we can cut Intamin some slack. The major difference, however, between the Raptor and the Hot Racer is the fact that the Intamin track seems to have a circular bottom while the Raptor has a square base. Also, the layouts on the Intamin version are completely different from anything that we have seen with the Raptors. The Hot Racer seems to stay much lower to the ground than the Raptors do, and the other thing that Intamin is emphasizing is the dueling aspect of the ride. In the announcement video, they made it very clear that this coaster will indeed be able to duel, hence the name Hot Racer. You're basically racing against the other train. And the last major announcement that shocked everyone was a coaster called the Vertical LSM Coaster. This is a very interesting coaster design that I don't think many people were expecting at all. Intamin is marketing this as the most compact triple launch coaster in the world. It's a very compact layout, but it looks like it packs a punch. It's very similar to a Premier Ride Skyrocket 2, but this coaster has a special element. And that special element is the world's first upside down launch. Yes, you heard me right, an upside down launch. Basically, after the third initial launch, you won't have enough speed to make it to the top, and you will experience an upside down boost. Then you go through a torpedo dive and continue through the rest of the layout. So it's very similar to a Premier Ride Skyrocket 2, but with that added upside down launch. Other than that, the only other announcement that they made was a water ride called the Giga Splash. This ride is pretty unique to Intamin, and it doesn't look like they took any inspiration from an outside company. And no, this ride actually isn't a Giga, so I don't know what they were thinking of when they came up with the name. But anyways, it looks awesome, so I'm not complaining. So now that we briefly discussed all of the announcements, it's time to answer the very important question of why. Why is Intamin coming out with all these concepts that are super similar to coasters from other companies? What exactly is their strategy? Because this is something that we wouldn't expect Intamin to do. I've researched on this topic a lot, but nobody seems to answer the question of why they added these specific models. So I thought about it for a while and came to the conclusion that there are three main reasons that Intamin made these coasters specifically. The first reason is the obvious one, and that is the fact that they think these coasters will sell very well, resulting in more profit. But I think there's a lot more to it than just that. You'll notice that every single one of these coasters besides the Giga has one thing in common, and that is the fact that they are all fairly compact. Compact coasters have been becoming increasingly more popular within the last couple of years, and within the last decade we saw the rise of the 4D Freespin, the Raptor, and the Skyrocket too. These are all compact coasters on the cheaper side that sold very well. Along with this, we also saw companies like Skyline Attractions try their hand at making compact coasters with their Skywarp model. So the second reason is the fact that Intamin most likely saw that there is huge market potential for smaller compact coasters, so they are basically meeting the demand. This is exactly why they created their vertical LSM. Contrary to popular belief, I don't think this is Intamin's take on a Skyrocket 2. Instead, I think it's much bigger than that. I think this is their take on compact coasters in general. They see market potential for making a bunch of small compact coasters. This is also why we saw Sandy's Blasting Bronco another small-scale multi-launch. I definitely think that's a major part of it, but there's another part that we often overlook, and that is the fact that every single one of these coasters fills many different categories of coasters. Now, that may not make any sense, but let me explain. For instance, the Intamin Hot Racer is not only a single rail coaster, but it's also a launch coaster that races another train. That's basically 3 coaster types all merged into one: a launch coaster, a single rail, and a dueling coaster. Because it fills so many different categories, it makes it more appealing to potential buyers. For example, if a park wanted to fill the gap of a launch coaster but also wanted a single rail, they would go for the Hot Racer. And if they wanted a dueling coaster, the Hot Racer would work there too. So I don't think Intamin's new strategy is to just knock off other companies. Instead, I think they are doing 2 things. First, they are supplying the demand. They see that there's a demand for certain coaster types, and they are doing the genius thing of covering multiple coaster types within a single ride. But that isn't something that just started recently. Intamin at its core has always been doing this. In the past, they've put an inversion on their hypercoaster, backward sections on their inverted coaster, launches on their spin coaster, and now launches on their single rail. Their strategy in the past has been to diversify their portfolio by taking big risks, and I believe that they are doing just that. For them to make a single rail is not an easy task, but they didn't stop there. They added a launch and the dueling aspect of the ride, and not to mention the fact that it looks like the same track type is also being used on their new water coasters, which it can't be easy to do. I think they are not only attempting to make coasters that they've never made before, but instead they're trying to make coasters better than the original company that made them in the first place. So the second part of their strategy is to make coaster types that other companies make, but to make them better. They wouldn't be making a single rail if they didn't at least think that they could make it better than RMC. If the model wasn't at least equal, no one would even consider buying it. The layouts on the Hot Racer look absolutely insane, and some people say that they already look better than RMC. And even though knocking off the Power Splash is a super low blow, Intamin wouldn't be doing this if they didn't think that they could make the ride better than Mac. Now, would the Intamin versions actually be better? We don't know, but I'm pretty sure Intamin at least thinks so, or they wouldn't even be trying. Personally, the biggest question I have about all these models is the question of how much do they cost? Because some of these coasters are super compact, I'm really curious to see the price. I highly doubt that these coasters would even be in the same price range as their counterparts from other companies, but I think Intamin is probably working on getting their price down. I don't think that they would make such a compact coaster like the vertical LSM if the price wasn't at least competitive with the Skyrocket 2. And in fact, this is the coaster that I think is going to be the biggest success for the company. I honestly see this coaster being sold off fairly quickly. As long as the price is right, I think a lot of parks are going to jump at the chance of getting the first upside down launch. Also, this ride is just perfect for a park that's low in space. As of now, we don't know the exact height of the ride, but because it's being marketed as the most compact triple launch coaster in the world, that means it's most likely smaller than a Skyrocket 2. A Skyrocket 2 is 150 feet, and another triple launch coaster called Gale Force is 125. So if I had to guess, I'd say it would most likely be around 100 feet tall. And as for the price, we don't know, but I say it would probably cost somewhere between $8 and $12 million, which is still kind of expensive for a coaster of its size. So to conclude, Intamin is growing their portfolio at an exponential rate, and one can only imagine what they're going to do next. But I think there's a strategy behind everything that they do and have been doing. I believe that Intamin is creating coasters with an almost sinister purpose in mind. In most cases, they aren't exactly copying other manufacturers, but what it looks like is they're slowly creating the same type of coasters as other companies do. But Intamin's intention is to make those same coasters but make them better. I think Intamin is trying to create a better single rail, a better Mac Power Splash, and the best compact looping coaster on the market. It almost looks like they want to have the monopoly on every single coaster type. Now you may be thinking that this would never happen, but you have to remember how large of a company Intamin really is. I could be wrong, but Intamin looks to be the largest ride manufacturer and they keep on growing. In 2020, Intamin worked on 12 different unique coaster projects, and to put that in perspective, B&M only did 6. And the year prior, Intamin did 8 coasters while B&M only did 3. And this is only counting coasters. Besides coasters, Intamin does so much more. They do everything from large-scale flat rides to water rides, and they are always keeping very busy. So you can't deny Intamin's growth, and if they keep on growing at this rate, I think in the future every major successful coaster will have an Intamin counterpart. For example, in the future when parks want to buy a coaster, they might be able to choose the original coaster or Intamin's version. We're seeing this now with the Hot Racer and the Ultra Splash, but in the future coasters like the Extreme Spinning Coaster and the Flying Coaster are all decent contenders for Intamin to try. So I believe that Intamin is building a thrill ride empire, and only time will tell how far it actually goes, but if it's successful, I can assure you that we will see many more amazing rides in the future. Intamin was a pioneer in the coaster industry and they are still a major player today, but I think Intamin has a lot more up its sleeve, so we should pay attention to this company very, very closely. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe if you want to see content just like this every week, and comment below your thoughts on Intamin. What do you think about their new models that they released? This is the Coaster Josh signing out.